Jason Walker here, Walker Tea Review, and I want to take just a few moments and challenge you to take your tea out of the medicine cabinet. And what I mean by that, of course, is a lot of us are drinking teas because of the health benefits, and I'm glad there are health benefits to teas, but the true draw to tea is taste. When you find good teas, valuable teas that you come to appreciate, you will become aware of, can acknowledge the pure enjoyment of drinking good teas. We have a tea today that we hope you may fall in love with. It's from Adagio. It is a white tea. It is a white Darjeeling that we're going to be looking at. This is a tea tasting because, as we said, tea has its health benefits, but we also want to learn to appreciate, admire, and enjoy our teas. So we've got our tea, we've got some of our basic equipment so that you can prepare and you can taste teas along with us. If you're learning to make teas or appreciate teas for the first time, you've come to the right place, because we've got some very basic equipment. We're going to go through the simple process that anyone should be able to do. We have our tea pot. This is a 5-ounce dainty little pot. You may not have a pot. You may have a basic gaiwan, which I recommend. You can go click up above. There's the How to Taste page that will give you information about gaiwans. What is a gaiwan? What is a professional taster's cup? How to choose an Yixing pot like this, a clay teapot like this. So we've got our teapot, we've got our tea, we've got basic spoon. We use a wine glass so that we can all look at the colors together. And so we are going to start off. We've got our spoon here. Now, because our tea is a Darjeeling and it is a white tea that consists of a lot of bud types, and buds are some of the more delicate parts of tea, parts of the tea plant. It's also going to mean that buds are generally bulkier, larger in size. You can't really fold them or wad them up like you could a leaf. So we're using, as you see, what we can hold in a spoon here. Gently slide that in. But we're also going to be going a little bit beyond that, because size-wise or volume-wise, compared to actual weight, mass of tea, is quite different with this. So, and we're spilling it all over. That's fine. As long as our leaves are still dry, we can still toss those right in. They're dry and on a clean surface, so we're okay. We're going to just get a few of those stray ones in there. Now, from the perspective of our teapot, we've covered the bottom surface of the pot. Set that aside. We're going to be looking at the dry leaf in just a minute, but we do want to get our wet leaf started. Again, we make notes about our dry leaf, our wet leaf, and our liquor. So we've got our water here that we had heated to close to boiling, say between 180 and 200, and we brought it off before it got too hot. White teas are more delicate, and so we don't want to cook these too thoroughly. So we're going to let these steep for a while. We've got our handy tea towel to wipe away any drops, spills. So we've got that. Another little spill. Set that aside. And we're going to be able to talk about our dry leaf. And of course, if you click on the How to Taste page, you'll see there that when we talk about our dry leaf, we're talking about our aromas, our colors. We are also talking about the shape of the leaf, because that can change from when it's wrapped and rolled to when it's opened, when it's been steeped. How it's shaped and how it unfolds can give you clues as to how the tea was made as well. So, first off, we want to look at our tea. Before I go too far, this will also give you a few moments to jot down any quick notes about the dry leaf. This is Adagio's White Darjeeling, as we said. A steep time recommended of 7 minutes, water temperature of 180 degrees. A little bit of background, a sample size like this, so let me look at my notes, is offered for $4. This tea actually comes from a single estate, the Avon Grove estate. It is a second flush white tea. Okay, it comes from the second flush. Okay, so let's go ahead now and talk a little bit about our dry leaf and give a smell. Now, Darjeelings in general have some characteristic aromas to them, and one of them is a rose smell, which a lot of them have, and that's like a dried rose bud type smell or a rose oil type smell. And the other one is a grape smell. You may see the word muscatel used quite a bit to talk about the muscat grape, to talk about white or Darjeelings as a whole. Okay. Other things we want to note. We talked about, yes, we do have a grape smell to this dry leaf. We're going to also look a little bit at our wet leaf and kind of get some comments on that. And as you'll see, what you have in front of you, what you see here are variety of buds or tips of the leaf here. You're seeing a variety of colors. You are seeing a silver. You are seeing a bistre color, and you're seeing a bit of a flax. So you've got some lighter silvery down to a darker kind of dark green as well. Again, these are, you'll notice the fuzz on these. These are fuzzy buds, and they are quite curly. The length is shorter than, say, like a lot of your Yunnan type buds or tips are generally larger in size, and that's often due to the different varietal, the kind of tea plant that's used or grown in those areas. Okay, so that takes care of our dry leaf. Let's go ahead and let's talk a little bit, or get ready here to pour. We're going to pour this and then be able to kind of set it aside as we look at our wet leaf. Okay, so give this guy a pour. Already got some nice color, and if you're making notes about the wet leaf, again, we're going to make notes of the aroma, the colors of the wet leaf, and any changes in the shape of the wet leaf after it's been unfurled or steeped. Okay, get those final few drops out, set that aside. We're going to be able to look now a little more closely. First thing we want to do, if you're ready to continue with us, if you're not, you can pause ever so briefly, get your first notes on paper, and then come back and fill those in later. We're going to talk about our aromas. Okay, so let's get a sniff of that. I close it up again so that it doesn't cool too quickly and doesn't release the flavors. It kind of concentrates the flavors, aromas. You want to stick your nose down there as deeply as you can without, scalding and steaming your nose off, steaming your nose hairs. But we are getting kind of a starchy type smell, which is characteristic of some of white teas. We're going to be talking about some of those characteristics in just a minute. You're going to be you still get a bit of a kind of a grape aspect as well. Those were the first things that came off of this particular. Yeah. Let's go ahead and let me get my spoon out as well so we can look at some of these leaves. Here we are. And yes, what you're seeing is a bud. I'll be sure to, you'll be able to see these as well. You'll see a bud, you'll see this in the close-up, bud connected to a leaf right there. Lots of tips as well, connected to the very end of the stem. You're seeing colors of things like sepia. You're seeing olive drab as far as the colors go. And again, just let me set, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to put these in the lid so that we can look at them more closely later if we need. That helps. And of course, you're also getting aromas. You're starting getting a bit of a baked bread aroma as well, and you are getting a hint of apricot in there as well, which are not characteristic of a lot of your white teas, especially your white tips or needles, as these seem to be similar to. Okay, but we're ready to move on to our wet leaf. I'm sorry, our liquor. Our liquor, again, we're going to make notes about liquor as far as the colors, the aroma, the texture, how does it feel in your mouth as far as creaminess to wateriness on that scale, aftertaste, either any tastes that appear after the tea, after you've finished the tea or after it's gone through your mouth. How long is that aftertaste? So those are some of the things that we may want to look at and note here as well. Okay, first off, again, if you're ready to continue with us, again, you don't want to dilly-dally too long, because as it cools, flavors can become weaker. You may lose some of those opportunities. We've got as we look at our colors here, we are getting a kind of saffron color here. I'm trying to get more descriptive and more precise in my color description, so I did make some notes of our saffron color here. Okay. Also, the things we're going to be talking about. Let's give this cup here, a smell and a taste. Not a strong nose, really. I mean, there's not a lot of aromas coming off of this to really talk about. So we're still kind of left with a mystery as to how much has transferred from dry leaf to wet to liquor. So we're going to have to give this one a taste. Again, as we taste, you'll see that we often slurp our teas. Slurping allows us to draw in the air, which releases more aroma. So here we go. Do it gently, because this is still feeling pretty warm. Now, first off, my initial reaction was, this is similar to a Chinese silver needle type, Injin type of tea. I mean, my first clue was the way the buds looked in our wet leaf. Okay, but I mean, not all the clues led to that. We still had some grape elements or grape aromas coming from our dry leaf as well. So we thought, is this going to be more Darjeeling, or is this going to be more silver needle? But when you taste it, you're getting that starchy kind of feel about it. You're getting starchiness like, like you've chewed on a toothpick for a couple of hours, and you're starting to get that woody kind of pulpy feel, texture and taste in your mouth. Starchiness is the one. Other things, yeah, I did notice there's still a bit of that kind of black pepper. It's got a hint of spiciness to it. Just ever so subtle. It's not going to like burn your mouth or anything. Along with that, there is a kind of a sweet herb, sweet grass, kind of clover, sweet clover aspect to it. So it's got the sweet, it's got a little bit of peppery, kind of rounded in that sense. But the body is quite smooth as well. I mean, it's got a nice even coat, even feel across the mouth. It's the aftertaste stays fairly consistent. It doesn't drop off or get watery. So you taste it, you continue to taste it. It doesn't shock you, throw any surprises at you. So, and again, the aftertaste is fairly sustained, still feeling and still enjoying some of that. So we've got, how should we say, a silver needle, China silver needle type of taste in this. Comparable body, comparable aromas, comparable feel in the mouth. So overall, again, low astringency. I should have mentioned that before. This is going to be a very gentle tea as far as the astringency. No bitterness to really comment on. And that, so it's got that starchiness. So overall, I'm talking about, if I had to wrap this up and making sure I use the correct score here, an 88, because it did have that starchiness, but it didn't have the roundedness of flavor with starchiness that is consistent. Also, we were kind of looking for and the tea is described as a kind of elements of the Darjeeling, the positive aspects of aroma as far as Darjeelings go. So it's described as one that offers or hints at kind of that Darjeeling rose slash muscatel type grape, and that did not actually carry over into the cup in this tasting or in previous off-camera tastings. So that's why we give it an 88. We'd like to see that it delivers some of those other aspects as it suggests it could. Smooth out the starchiness, or at least bring up the flavor profile to match with that starchy texture. So this was tongue-twisted, Adagio's White Darjeeling. I'm Jason Walker, and this is Walker Tea Review.